right, my babies, how are we? Can you hear me? Yeah. Today we're cracking open a new book. Brand new. Fucking amazing. Uh, Thoughts, feelings. Oh, I don't know. Just gotta do my 2 videos every day, man. I think that's the gist of it. Consistency. And other than these videos, kind of like being a reflective side of just the thoughts that I notice in my head. the the thoughts that I observe in my head, because a lot of times I kind of like am in that phase where like I can I yeah, using the word believe, shit man, I still have that in my vocabulary, but it's fine. So maybe this could be an off-script adventure. Maybe this could be just like one of those opening a new book is a new journey, right? So it could be one of those just reflecting on how I reflect. Why not? So conceptually, these books are just documented thoughts. So I'm a big believer that we don't really think, because what we effectively do is process, give ourselves the chance to process, maybe. That's what we do as people. And so the smarter we are, the better we are. The the smarter we are, the better we are at understanding our process, which allows us to slowly and more steadily approach something that's efficient and effective. Yeah. So the, other than doing this, which is an active effort for me to kind of like reflect on thoughts that I have, there are also like daily, why did I want to use the term consequences? There are daily responses since I'm active, since I'm having activity, that I also should kind of keep in check. Because the last thing I want is to reflect on something and then basically proceed as if the reflection was enough. Because every one of these videos needs to have an established foundation in my train of thought. So I think at one point that's why I started like writing down the summarization of it on YouTube and basically using the description of the videos as a method of me kind of like summarizing and translating the video itself down to like the bare minimum, let's just say, or just like the gist of this reflective process. So I use this as the active effort that I have to be consistent with, because right now I have about 200 like videos here that I could actually do. And I have another book that's kind of like being done as well. The goal is 1,000, but I do not see 1,000 being enough. Honestly speaking, it's just a whole lot. It's just the world keeps changing, man. A whole lot keeps happening. And sometimes I feel like the videos are repetitive, but the truth is they're pointing at something different. They're always coming back to say something that's like that has been processed before, but a new observation on that process comes in. So when I read the script, it allows me to kind of like go back to the thoughts that I had before about it and then reestablish new ones. So that is one baseline that needs to be built on top of the daily life that I have. But also, the daily thoughts that I have are also kind of starting with the discussions that I have right here and the integration that I have with like the the expression of these thoughts. So I don't know why I feel like I'm blabbing left and right. The truth is, I don't think I ever reflected on how I reflect, especially when it comes to these videos, or kind of like how their positions exist. Or at the very least, this is feeling awkward, which means I haven't done this enough, right? Because when something's feeling awkward, that means like you're lacking skill in it. Other than that, I started like trying my best anytime I'm sitting alone at home to just allow my mind to open up to all the things that are happening in the day, but actively just kind of like giving it something to consider and trying to attach things to it in order for me to be like better prepared. So as for the daily reflection, and that's something where like you kind of read about it when it comes to academia, because a lot of people they say practice, practice, practice. Uh, I don't know if it's my ADHD, but when it comes to practice, most of my efforts are just think of something or keep considering something from different angles enough for you to have some sort of hypothesis about it. And then when I actually have a hypothesis, and the only reason I see a hypothesis in my train of thought is because it comes back again and again. So once it comes back more than once, then the impulse to actually write it down or to just like start discussing it with myself gets created. Example of that is today I was asked a question, and how does the world look like to me? Naturally, almost like doing one of those like exercises online of how to talk to people and explain to them what your project is about. So while I was actually like trying to see how I'll approach the exercise, I started realizing that it's not just how I see the world, it's how I'm going to explain to others how I see the world. So that got me in one of those frozen states where you're like, huh. And it took me like 30 minutes of like just looking at what's going on in my head and watching like different parts of the world bombard with each other. I remember one of the things I mentioned was a swamp. Before that, I was trying to consider if I were to explain the way I view the world from a force perspective. One of them was a machine, but an old machine that needs to be renewed instead of like an exchange of parts. And it's funny because like they start building on top of each other, and effectively what I'm doing is the process of elimination. Like, does this work? Not really, but because it came out, I kind of like I move on to the next thing. And that's the hypothesis that I'm talking about, right? Because like you throw something out there, and then if it comes enough as a hypothesis, then it becomes a theory, and if it becomes enough as a theory, then it becomes something more solid to kind of like use and interact with. So this is literally me explaining my thought process out loud as a form of reflection. So this is the off-script adventure. Like I just finished the book, so I don't know if I should be reflecting on again. Like when I say book, I say this one, right? Like a notebook where I have all the videos that all the notes that I wrote, all the scripts all the thoughts that I had cross my mind that were relevant enough for me to write down. So this is just it's interesting, and most of these thoughts are like either inspiring or emotional, and I don't know if I do a good job with them, man, because uh, what happened is last week, specifically last week or 2 weeks ago, what happened was I realized I had like over 30 videos that I have not did not have a comment under them, that did not have like a structure of like, okay, these are the videos. They didn't have an explanation. So I ended up watching most of them. And weirdly so, I'm very lucid in how I explain things because, or at the very least, like I was impressed with a few of them because I'd see how I'm talking and I'd see how I get to that point, to any point. Or at the very least, I see how I get to the core of where it's coming from, or I come out from the actual video with something that I could go like, okay, so this is where next time I either start from here, and that means it's a valid like endpoint for the video, or it comes back again and I kind of like re-explore it in a different way. I'm not sure what to talk about other than the fact that really it's just all about looking at what's going on Does it really seem intense? Because whether you're aware or not, your mind is processing shit. And if you're aware, then whatever you're processing actually sticks more. And I think your awareness is driven by your values or lack of them. Because if you're lacking values, then you basically then you're going back to your primitive outlook, which is survival. But if you have values, then ultimately the things that pop up in your reflection are more of the things that contribute to your values being expressed. I feel this is a good way to end this video, man. Intense shit. All right, it's a video.